Welcome to our podcast, When Life Gives You Lemons. I'm Kevin.
And I'm Palmy. We consider ourselves disability advocates and intend to highlight some disability issues and things we find interesting that we frequently encounter when we're out and about. Also, some history on disability that we find interesting. This year, we're going to include more of the interviews of the people that the disability affects. We hope you enjoy it.
Well, hi, everybody, and welcome back to our podcast, When Life Gives You Lemons. I'm Kevin.
And I'm Palmy.
And today we're talking about the Neuralink program offered by Tesla.
We're just doing an update on it. There was an advancement that Kevin wanted to update everybody on, and we're just going to talk about it for a little bit.
Well, it's not only that, they're constantly updating their program. I want everybody to make aware, though, or be aware, that they post videos on YouTube to update their progress. Whereas, initially they only had two different categories. I think there are ALS patients and SCI patients they're looking for. Now there's a whole lot more.
And they were specific on this YouTube channel.
They were on the year-end update because that's what they announced who they had coming up for this year.
Was his name Kenneth? Was that the name of the patient?
That guy was named Kenneth.
And he had ALS?
Yes.
And so they were specifically did an interview with him where he was losing his ability to speak. And you were curious why they would have chosen an ALS patient because he had a shortened lifespan. It was a death sentence, basically. You wondered why they even looked at someone.
Yeah, because Neuralink isn't necessarily about curing the problem. I understand now.
You thought
it's about
they'd want
quality
long-term
of life.
Well, you thought they'd want long-term
use.
Yeah, see how long it lasts and that type of thing. But it's more. They said it was more about the quality of life is what they're looking for the individuals.
Right.
And they had a big thing about I forget what their quote was, improving individuals' lives.
Well, I think that's basically the saying for most of Elon Musk's companies.
Yeah.
With his vision of colonizing Mars and such. It's not, he thinks big, but it's all in pursuit of bettering the quality of human life.
But this is basically for an individual, quality of individual life.
Right.
And then he also he was talking about the improving the quality of family life based on the vehicles, right?
Right.
Yeah. So let's talk about Kenneth. He had ALS, and what I found significant was that over the course of time, he was losing his ability to speak, but they started this early on and they learned to place the sensors deeper in the brain. And so the sensors...
They also increase the amount of sensors they put in because the first year, they only did 3 people with the BCI implants, and they found out at the end of the first year that some of the neurofibers, as they call them, had withdrawn a bit from where they put them in. So they were no longer functional for what they had envisioned them for. And they didn't have a real good answer why. It's one of those things that until you see it, you don't know it. And it was basically every night your brain this part they knew, but they didn't realize the impact it would have on their equipment. Your spinal cerebral fluid is flushed out of your brain,
And so
out of your
basically
head,
it was flushing it.
head
Yeah.
cavity. So the current, if you will, of the fluid was tugging onto those neurofibers, and that's what was causing them to move or detach.
But what I found interesting was that they were learning from, because he could speak originally, so they were learning from his. So he basically was speaking from his mind. He didn't have to. When he first started, he would mouth the words that he was saying, and they learned from his speech pattern, and then they eventually all he had to do was think and what he wanted to say, and they automatically would know what he was saying. And the other part was, it wasn't like the Steve Hawking's voice, automated voice. It actually was, they took samplings of his voice prior to him losing his ability to speak, and he was actually they were actually producing his actual OG voice. And so, like his wife said, when he said "I love you," it was actually from him, his voice from prior, before he was
It wasn't that robotic voice that
right.
Stephen Hawking made so famous.
Right. It was more. It was an actual human tone voice. So that was very interesting. That's what I found most interesting from the clip that we watched.
Well, one thing I've learned about not only Neuralink, but basically stuff that Elon Musk is involved in, like the SpaceX stuff and all that stuff, you know, he always goes beyond what you expect.
Right.
I guess that's just the way he is.
Imagines much more than what you could imagine.
Yeah, he puts a lot of thought into things, whereas, like, one of my great complaints is that wheelchairs are not made by wheelchair users, that are designed by people who have no need to sit in them all day or move around them, and so some of these things.
So they're not wheelchair engineers are not wheelchair users.
No.
No.
Well, somewhere there might be a company that has wheelchair users as
Not the ones you're
engineers.
using.
No, not the ones the VA buys.
Because they're not comfortable.
Nope.
And they're not user friendly.
No, well, for example, it's little things like these nifty little bars that sturdily help you get up off the ground. But if you leave them on, you're gonna really seriously mess up your knees. Because, I mean, they're solidly attached. They're not forgiving. So, yeah, your ligaments are going to give way before they do. So,
Yeah.
well, it was good thought. It was in practical use. No, I don't use them.
Yeah.
I think I put them somewhere I don't even recall where, and I haven't messed with them since I found out.
Then the neck thing, you take that off.
The headrest, yeah, I take that off. Because I don't use it, and I tend to knock things over more with it. Yeah. How else would you describe it?
Well, it just gets in your way.
Yeah. It's just kind of like makes things behind me more. The way I describe it is long. A little bit more long, but. And for example, on this wheelchair, the one I had before, all I had to do is flip a lever and move my seat forward or back. This one I cannot do on my own. Yeah, the back has to be disassembled, and there's a lever behind a bunch of wires you have to grab. Basically, somebody else has to do it. So it's like you have to wait for them to disassemble everything, find the lever, pull the lever, and then you can push your seat back or forward and say, okay, this is where I want it. And hope it stays that way while they put everything back together again.
Yeah. And then also your camera, this nifty little camera that you have, works only like a third of the time.
Yeah.
And we have no idea why.
No, nor does the guy that works on it. He just throws up his hands and says, weird electrons, I guess.
Yeah, we've replaced it several times too.
But anyway, let's talk less about my wheelchair and talk more about Neuralink.
Yep.
Okay, there are two main competitors right now to Neuralink. And they both use brain-computer interfaces. They go about them differently than Neuralink does. Neuralink built a robotic surgeon that does the operation because they thought, well, let's remove the human element from this and, decrease that risk factor. So for example, every time before they do this with a new patient, they do a 3D model of his skull and do the operation with on the robot and make sure that everything is going as they planned it's going. After that point, it's calibrated and they only just screw with it again. I thought that was interesting. I always kind of wondered how they did it for each individual. They've also expanded from, they used to have one place in when Elon was incorporated in California before he moved to Texas. Neuralink was a startup in California, and that's where they had the one and only clinic. Now he has clinics all over the darn place. He has several in the U.S. I don't recall where all of them are. He has one in Dubai. He has one in London. He has one in Shanghai, I believe it is. He's trying to obviously make it more of a global system because he's going from like 3 patients that they did this on initially. He has 10 patients lined up for this year to get through the cycle, through the operation and into training them how to use the brain-computer interface and all that stuff. And that was another thing about the video we just watched about the...
They're going into for the eyes, for the blind.
Yeah, no, that wasn't the part that surprised me. He was in the hospital for a day and a half after he got the chip implanted in his head. He went home, went to sleep, and the next day is when they started training him how to use his brain interface. It was a grand total of 2 days, because the first one is not where they wanted him to end. But he had to get to that point before he could make the jump to the next point where he just controlled everything, because it was basically going easy to hard in your brain. At first, he had to mouth what he would normally
Kenneth,
say.
you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
He didn't have to vocalize it, but he would have to move his mouth to form the words he wanted.
So
And
the computer could learn
yeah, that makes his brain move what he's trying to do. And that way they're learning directly from his brain what was going on.
his muscles and all that, how it
And
works.
so, they came up with a group of synonyms where, if he could basically map out the alphabet with the synonyms. And they went from there, and the very next day they went to where they wanted him to be, which is quit mouthing and just think about using the words. And it came off flawlessly.
What were the words he said? I forgot. I'm thinking.
I'm thinking with my mind.
Yeah.
That's.
I'm thinking with my mind. 5 words. Yeah.
Yeah. And before that, he was saying something like, I can talk now, or no, he was saying, what is it you usually type? The rain in Spain falls mainly on the plain or something like that.
Yeah, just
whatever that thing is what he was saying.
to get his brain to pick up what he was saying.
Yeah.
What I found interesting was that now they said that they're going to start with they've got a new adaptation for the eyes to work with the blind.
Yeah, Operation Blindside.
Yeah, Blindside, yeah.
And I heard about this last year in their annual update. I think what it was they had such success, if you will, working with the first two. I mean, they solved Elon Musk solved the brain-computer interface problem. And after that, it was just, them waiting for patients and
to volunteer.
Troubleshooting, stuff that comes up and teaching them how to use it and stuff.
They said it won't be like crystal clear or anything, but it'd be more like gameplay. Like, what was that game in the 80s?
Doom.
Yeah, more pixel.
First-person shooter games.
Yeah, like a more pixelated visual than crystal clear. But eventually they'll work out all the issues, and it'll get clearer and clearer the more they work it through.
Well, see, the good thing about it is with them being able to work the brain-computer interface, they could just download updates.
Or use AI to improve it.
Yeah, as long as the hardware doesn't need to be replaced, they're
just
all set.
Updates, yeah. Mm-hmm. Improvements as it goes.
Yeah. They can alter things as they go on. Like I'm sure they found a way to synthesize Glenn's voice, voice. Ken, yeah. Instead of, that generic robot voice. Mm-hmm. I'm sure that was something they had to do. Yeah. Instead of what we saw 2 guys working on Ken. I'll bet there was the 3rd guy that was going through tapes trying to find samples of his voice.
Oh, I'm sure there's more than that, but yeah. They said they took recordings from like in the 10 years before he had any symptoms whatsoever. And so they got an unaltered voice.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Well, it sure looks like there's a lot of advancements in that area.
Well, again, I encourage, because it's still in trial, your insurance, American insurance anyway, it's not going to pay for it. But
they're looking for volunteers at this point, so it may not.
As far as other countries, I'm not sure how their insurance even works or what is covered and what is not. What is usually customary in the U.S. when something is under trials, you don't pay for it at all. Whoever is developing it pays for it.
Yeah. All right. Well, that all sounds great.
Yeah. Okay, we have a little bit of housekeeping to go into this week.
Okay.
I want to encourage people to visit our website, www.whenlifegivesyoulemons, all one word.net, and like and or subscribe to our podcast. No, it doesn't cost you anything. So,
But it does help us get our name out there.
It helps us both become recognized by our podcast host, and maybe, who knows, maybe we'll find a couple sponsors along the way. We'll have to see.
Anything else?
There's also an option on there where you can send us fan mail. That's like e-text that goes directly to us. We have an app on our phones that notifies us when we get fan mail. We can read it that way. It's kind of
how
like
we're doing.
Kind of like an instant messaging sort of thing. We get it in real time, but if you live outside the U.S., it may cost you something. I don't know what that charge would be, but it would. Imagine it would be similar to what a text to the U.S. would cost you. If you want to avoid any cost at all, just send us email. It's always free.
Sounds good.
And if anything we're talking about, sometimes we talk about like an end of year contest, or etc., and we only accept submissions by fan mail. If you fall in that category of people that can't use fan mail for free, just see in your email that you would have used fan mail, but it was going to cost you.
Well, I've got a little tease for people to contact us about on our fan mail. Our next podcast is about something called the Capital Crawl. So if you know anything about that, get on our fan mail and send in an answer. Don't look it up. Don't cheat. If you know what we're talking about.
Stay away from Google.
If you know about that or have details or you know about that issue, tell us about it in our fan mail. If not, then stay tuned to our next podcast. We'll talk about the Capital Crawl.
Who knows, maybe we'll get somebody who's actually at the Capital Crawl.
Ooh.
And they also reenact this every March. So we may get like a serial reenactor or something like that.
I look forward to that. Now you're giving them too many hints.
Yeah.
All right.
Really.
We say bye for now.
I'll shut up.
When life gives you lemons, what do you do, Kev?
Make lemonade. Now shut up.
Bye.
Bye.